Yep, we are live. Bam, confirm. All right. Let's just start today's topic because it's extremely important to me. All right. You guys put your comment below because I'm going to answer them all. This is an extremely important topic. Give me a second. All right. All right. Welcome to Modern Choice Financial Podcast, where we talk strictly about mortgage, real estate, insurance, and the market. You're in the right place. In the previous, I guess we had so far 12 episodes, and we mainly talked about all the important topics. There's a topic that we've been keep postponing for the right time, and I guess today is the time. We're going to drop a lot of information, and I'm sure at the end I'm not going to be able to cover them all, everything that you might have as a question, but good thing is the comment section is open. Me and my two assistants, we consistently read all the comments and we respond, and if we didn't cover everything today, we definitely promise to bring another episode on and talk more in detail. And if I can cover everything that you want to know, I will bring a guest that is a professional in the industry. But in this particular case, me as your mortgage, real estate, and insurance broker, I'm licensed to talk about everything within these three industries. Other than that, let's go. Today's topic is about property management. What is it? Why is it good? And why some people think it's bad? And what should you know about it? Property managers, and what's their role? It's a huge and in-depth topic. A lot of people underestimate the value of that, but the people that know more, they definitely do not even blink on utilizing them and their services. So, consider this. I've been landlord since 2009. Since 2017, I got my real estate license. The last 2 years, I was a real estate broker under our brand Modern Choice Realty. Up until I became property manager myself, I had somebody else managing my properties. And maybe you guys think, why? A lot of my friends even thought, are you crazy? You're in real estate. You know more than enough than a typical person to be able to actually manage your own property. Why are you paying this other company to do that for you? Property management is a very, very in-depth, and that's the area that real estate professionals get sued the most. Why? Because most of the complaints, if you go to real estate division, it's all about property management. And it has to do with a lot of rules and regulation. And if you as a landlord or property owner managing your own property, thinking that it doesn't worth to pay 10%, 8%, 9%, whatever it might be, to the property manager to do the job that they're supposed to do, well, today I'm here to prove you wrong. Property manager has a huge responsibility from the point when they're advertising your property to find a prospect tenant, all the way through the course of vetting all those tenants for you as the property owner, making sure you get the best tenant, which is best one with the income calculation. Normally nowadays they want anywhere from 2.5 times to 3% of the actual rent to be the household income. Meaning, if you're a one single individual, or there is like 2 or 3 adults within the household and they're trying to rent a property, combination of all the adults that are going to live in that property, their income should be minimum depends on the landlord or the property management requirement, 2.5 times the rent or 3 times the rent in this market. With that being said, the calculation of that, verifying the income. So they didn't put some uncle's property or a company in place and have the uncle say, oh, yeah, just say, yeah, I make this much money, right? The property manager have to go out and make the proper work and proper investigation that this is the actual employer of this individual that putting application on this lease or property that is out there to be leased, right? Because they have a fiduciary duty to the landlord, aka their client or the owner of the property that hire property management company to manage that property for them. Besides the fact that there's a lot of rules and regulation, especially when it comes to a specific protected type of class of people. There's a total of 8 different ones in the state of Nevada, from sex, gender, and disabilities, many different items that they need to make sure they are not violating any law against those protected class of people out there. With that being said, property manager's job is to make sure all the rules and regulations are followed, and also vetting each one of those applications for the owner of the property, aka landlord, that they're going to manage that property for. Making sure everybody that put in the application are treated fairly and equally. Meaning, if you're a man, woman, white, black, Hispanic, everybody get the same treatment. And nobody felt like just because of my race, you didn't even look at my application. You'd be surprised, there's a lot of complaints like that, or people think that way. But in reality, the real property management company that they're trying to stay in business for long term, and they try to do whatever they can do to stay on top of their game in the long term, that's what they should do. There's a lot of rules and regulations that need to be followed, so there won't be no discrimination against anyone, so nobody have an idea. Or if anyone think they were discriminated against, they have proper documentation that they did treat everybody equally. For instance, if they're requiring a long-term tenant, meaning we give preference to people that in their rental history, they've been minimum 2 years in one place. They get the best treatment, or they are basically our ideal tenant for the future tenant that we want for this particular property. It needs to be in our website. Or if we go based on first come, first serve, meaning once the property is out marketed as an available property for rent, the property might get 10 application. And when we review application, it's about who we got first. We're gonna run their application. Obviously, we're gonna run their credit. We're gonna run their background check, rental history, criminal check, and make sure the person that we're vetting as a future tenant for that property is a right person for our landlord. Because again, property managers' main fiduciary duty is to the landlord as their client. Obviously, in the future, when we choose the tenant is obviously our client as well. So we need to kind of like walk in a fine line so we're not one-sided, right? Tenant gets fair treatment and also landlord gets fair treatment. We're just here right in the middle, making sure. In a lot of cases, a lot of landlords that own a lot of properties, they probably don't even want the tenant know who they are. Most of the time, we have a whole episode about it. maybe you should go to the previous episode about trust and forming a trust and why it's beneficial to have a trust. And I can express the importance of that for all the property owners. That's a whole another episode that we already had one, and we probably have another further one down in the future talking about like more detail about it. But the landlord probably don't want the tenant even know who he is. That's why they have the property management in place. That's what they do. Their job is handling this kind of stuff when it comes to legal matter, when it comes to all the timelines. For instance, if somebody's late on rent, when should you send them the notice of you're late? How many days you need to give them? In the state of Nevada, it's 7 days. It used to be 5 days, now it's 7 business days. And then basically 7 days for them to come current. Then you can go hire constable to send a notice. You cannot go and post a notice on their door as a landlord. If you're thinking that you can just manage your property yourself and pretty much not violating any rules and regulations and law of the state of Nevada or whatever state your property is, you need to really almost become a lawyer in that, like real estate lawyer, knowing all the rules and regulation, and also stay updated. This law just been changed not even a year ago. It used to be 5 days notice, now it's 7 business days notice. When you have the notice posted to tenant. Here's another thing, as I just mentioned earlier, you just cannot do it yourself. Even if you're self-managing your property, you have to hire a proper channel for that notice to be delivered to tenant, which is technically constable, or you hire attorney or law firm to send a legal document to tenant. Otherwise, it's technically consider a void notice. It's just not even a notice. You have to go through proper channel, or the property manager can actually take care of that for you. After that, let's say the tenant left the property, and supposedly they're saying that, yeah, we vacate the property, now you can have the property. But they left some of their belongings there, maybe like a couple of items, the smaller items, maybe a picture frame or a couple of kids' toys or some dishes in a dishwasher or whatever, right? Now, if they know that you're not an experienced landlord and you're trying to do a private management of your own property, and they know you and they've been already testing you that how much you really know about the rules and regulation when it comes to renting and being a landlord and all that, you'd be surprised. A lot of tenants out there, if they're really, really con artists and they've done it enough, they know rules way more than you as a landlord. That's why a lot of landlords, they really want to hire a property manager so they take care of all that. And the one that they don't think there's a need for that, eventually learn it the hard way. And one of them is myself, my own family. I'm going to run a quick scenario. Back in 2011, we had a family property that we rented to some sort of friends of a friend type thing. At that time, we were kind of new to this. We didn't know any better. And we didn't even know there's a thing for, running people's credit, and there's a service out there that you can sign up and do that. And the credit, the background check, criminal check, even checking their rental history. We were just green. We just had some properties we want to rent. And then just because somebody refers somebody, we thought, okay, well, we're going to give it to them. Longest story short, this tenant was behind on rent almost every month. They basically give us the rent for the first year or year and couple of months, but in partial. Here's another rules that you guys need to know. As soon as you accept even $1 towards the rent, you already basically give away all your right to demand the rent, because technically by doing that, the tenant establish a partial rent payment with you and you accepted it, and now you can't demand for a full rent. It just established a whole new rules that tenant can just pay you in partial that rent for that particular month. So there's a lot of rules. I mean, I hope by end of this episode I can cover as much as possible that it comes to my mind, because I'm doing a freestyle in here. There is no notes, there is no specific topics that I'm following. I'm just trying to come live and basically talk my heart out about property management. Anything that I miss, please comment or reach out, and we'll love to answer all your questions regarding that. With that being said, going back to our scenario, after a year and couple of months, he start using that best tactics. Oh, my mom is in the hospital. I'm sorry. Hopefully it never happened to you and your family. He start pointing or pressuring our soft spot, right? Unfortunately, you got to give me a little time for this month's rent. I'm going to come current. As you know, it happened before, but I always pay my rent. And we're like, yeah, this guy is good. I mean, yes, he didn't pay it on the 1st or the 10th, but throughout the month, he finally paid us the rent for that month. And we were lucky we were getting that rent. So you understand why. So finally, he started creating a very strong case for himself, right? Finally, he said, okay, my mom is in hospital, blah, blah, blah. And can I pay you towards end of this month? So we didn't get a dime that month, towards like 25th of that month, right? Technically being a nice guy. Finally, he sent, let's say the rent was like, I guess like 1,500 or something like that. 1,700, I can't remember, somewhere in that range. He sent us like $500, right? And then he said, okay, I'm waiting for this big check that's coming, and give me until the 5th of next month so I can pay whatever is left from this month and the next month together. Next month came, 5th of the next month, and he's like, whoa, that check never really cleared, give me some more time. So he's buying more time, right? So basically now he already been sitting in that property for already first month is over, second month is already the 6th of second month, and he's basically playing the emotional stuff with us. And then we keep saying that, okay, well, make sure your check clear because you're already behind on last month. This month is already on the 6th, blah blah blah. Fast forward, he played this game so well towards the end of the second month too. He just paid us like a couple more hundred, here's some more money, and but still didn't even cover the first month. By end of second month, we had no choice, and that's when I started stepping in. I said, okay, so look like you're not gonna come current, you already owe us pretty much 2 months by now, and I have to send you a notice that if you can't pay, you have to leave, unfortunately, because we have mortgage to pay, and if you don't pay us, we can't pay our mortgage. So long story short, I start learning my lesson from that specific incident. So I start going to constable and explain that whole thing. I spend like 3 hours there until like write a whole essay about what's going on, and then pay them the $42 fee, whatever it was, for them to go and post a notice or deliver a notice to tenant that, hey, you have, at that time it was 5 days. You have 5 days to come current, otherwise we're gonna lock you out. Obviously he didn't have the money to pay because he was a gambler. So long story short, constable went there, delivered the notice, sent us the receipt that we did our work, and then we had 5 days to wait until they come current on the 3rd month already. So obviously they couldn't pay. Now I need to go pay the constable again to go and basically do their eviction. They go in front of a property. They try to force them out. They say, okay, you have 24 hours to get out of this property. Okay? During that 24 hours, they managed to get out of the property, but they managed to destroy the entire property. Like there was nothing in that property or no room in that property that wasn't damaged. The property had 5 bedrooms, 1 full bedroom and full bath downstairs. Basically, you could consider that as like a master bedroom downstairs. And then there was another master bedroom upstairs, and there was 4 another room. Total of 5 bedroom and 3 full bath. They destroyed everything. All the doors were broken. Every bathroom had a hole in the wall. Faucet, they were all like destroyed. It was just a disaster. You wouldn't believe. Once we finally get access to that property, I have all the photos, like for my memory. Long story short, fast forward, for us to clean up the property and fix all the damages and put everything back to like they call it in the industry, habitable status, meaning everything is good to go, everything is in a working and clean and nice and usable status, or habitable status, it cost us $21,000. Plus the 3 months rent that we didn't collect, pretty much. So now I'm thinking, you're not gonna get away with this. I start going to court and trying to sue him for that damage, right? The court system in this country is one of the worst, especially when it comes to tenant and landlord. Okay, and to be honest, in the state of Nevada, it's probably one of the best states for being a landlord. Go to California, good luck. Like almost entire tenant and landlord law is written in the favor of tenants. In the state of Nevada, we're still like, we're pretty strong for landlords, so they have a lot of leverage when it comes to rules and regulation. So long story short, the whole entire court process took 2 years. We spent probably extra $1,600-$1,700. Good thing was I managed to self-defense myself and going to all the court sessions myself. I didn't hire no attorney and none on that. I read 3 law books and I study a lot. Like basically, literally by the end of that whole court process, I felt like I know enough, which I basically knew just the tip of the iceberg, but I knew enough to not do that anymore. That was the point that I said, moving forward, we're gonna hire a property manager, because I learned a lot when it came to like all those, not accepting the rent, partial rent, blah, 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 all the stuff that typical landlord, especially if that's your first or second property that you're trying to self-manage, you don't know. Believe me, like you might know some, there's hundreds of other rules that you just don't know. And that's when the very manipulative tenant can play with those rules with you and get you in the hole very easy. The con artist, basically. Long story short, we finally got the judgment and summary judgment after 2 years of battle, going back and forth, spending all his time, money, and effort. And guess what he did? After you even get the judgment against him, you have to now go and try to collect. It's crazy. You feel like, okay, after I have the judgment, $21,000 against this tenant, then basically the judge is telling the tenant, okay, now how are you going to pay? You want to use card, or you want to use cash, or you want to just write a cashier check? No. After that, you still got to go to another court process, or you can go to collection companies and hire them to basically collect for you. So we got to pay another fee and wait some more. And after another 6 months of battling on that, he just said, this is what I'm going to do. His credit was already shady to begin with anyway. He had nothing to lose. He had a horrible credit. We didn't even check his credit. Think about it. Like, we were so new and, excuse my language, dumb at that point. Just because somebody referred them and they were so-and-so or whatever, we thought they're good people. Put it that way. That can be the case for a lot of people, especially the people that came from some other country, like us, we're Persian, some other people from many other countries around the world that they just didn't grow up here. Even some people that grow up here, they just don't know when it comes to rules and regulations and what it takes to be a successful landlord and manage your property properly. And to be honest, the smarter landlords, especially the one that, think about it. If some guy has 10 properties as just their rental properties, you think they're smarter than you that barely have one property? I think we can say that. Let's just be realistic about it. I mean, the guy was smart enough to come up with, on a rental property, you need to put 20% down. Put 20% down because it's not your personal, basically primary resident. Primary resident, you can buy it as low as 3.5% if you're a first-time home buyer. If you're buying another one, at least 5%. Depends on your credit and all the different programs. That's a whole another topic. But for rental property, if you're buying them from the get-go as an investment property or AKA rental property, you have to put 20% down. The guy that put 20% down on a property and understand the other 80% eventually comes from the tenant, I think they're smart enough. Like, seriously, like, so you think that guy that has 10 plus properties are not smart enough to manage their own property? They probably are. And that's why they decided not to do that. That's the part I want you guys to understand. Because they know it takes a lot to manage a property, and you really need to know everything when it comes to rules and regulation and make sure you do everything correctly so you don't trip yourself into a wrong situation. As I mentioned, a lot of people can bring the discrimination case and can bring fair housing violation and many different things against landlord if they're not doing the right thing, right? So going forward, this guy, going back to our story, this guy decided to file a bankruptcy because he had no credit to begin with. And it wasn't really affecting him. He was already under the water. But $21,000, because first he said, I have no money. What are you going to take? We take it further. I said, okay, you're working. You have money coming in from your work. We're going to wage garnish you. I even went that far. Like, I went all in on that case because I first wanted to learn the rules and regulations of tenant landlord in this state or in this country, and also teach this guy a good lesson, right? But at the end of the day, I learned a lot of lessons myself. So he said, well, I have no money, come collect. We went towards his wage garnishment. At that point, he feel like, oh, shoot, they're real. Like, this guy is not settling down. And he said, okay, at this point I have no better option than just file a bankruptcy. He literally filed a bankruptcy just to not pay that $21,000. And at the end of the day, we end up basically utilizing that $21,000 loss in the next 3 years of tax towards like a tax deduction towards that property. Long story short, there's a lot to learn. That's why the smarter people or more educated people that understand the value of hiring professionals that they know what they're doing when it comes to managing a property, that's what they learn. They go through classes to get licensed. They go through continuing education classes that understand what's the updated rules and regulations and what is coming up in the industry or what is happening. Sometimes they even force you as in part of your continuing education to go and sit on a hearing for property management cases to see what is really out there and what people are going through. And you'll be surprised. There's, oh my God, it's just a whole another humongous topic that it will be entertainment and at the same time extremely informative for you to actually go there. It's free. You guys can go to court and just say, hey, I want to sit in one of those real estate court, just watching those cases come by and just listen what happened in each cases. Other than that, let's just summarize. I don't want to take this to a whole like 2 hours conversation. If you're planning to purchase a property as your investment property, as you guys know, and I said from the beginning, as your mortgage broker, real estate broker, and insurance broker. I have all the right to talk about all these topics because I'm licensed broker on all three different topics. So that's why I guess I can handle this whole topic for you. If anything that is out of respect of my licenses, then I bring the other professionals so they can inform you. Like when we brought the appraiser, when we brought inspector, when we brought real estate and probate lawyers, talked about all of the rules and regulation on that, and also we kind of pivot towards trust and the value of having a trust on your property. So these three topics I can talk all day about: real estate, mortgage, and insurance. So with that being said, let's talk about mortgage side of this whole thing. If you want to buy your investment property, you don't need to have income. You don't even need to have a tax return. You'd be surprised. You probably didn't know about that because this is not your typical go to Bank of America and Chase and Wells Fargo to get a loan, okay? Even in a typical FHA and conventional loan, I wouldn't go to them. I'm not here to bash them, but their rate and fees are extremely high, and even their own employees, they come to us as mortgage broker to get a loan for them because we can guarantee best rate in the market to anyone, right? Put it that way. So with that aside, and with that being said, let me break down. It's called DSCR loan. I also have a lot of shorts about that, short videos. DSCR loan is basically debt service loan. The only qualifier for that loan is the comp of the property within that neighborhood. So if we're buying a property, the rent of the property should be able to cover the mortgage amount. That's it. That's literally how smart people get smarter and adding wealth to their family portfolio. You don't need to show no income. You can be jobless. You can have no tax return. All you need is minimum 20%. That's the only thing. And also a good credit. I mean, they still loan up to like, I guess 640 credit score, as long as your credit score is not less than 640. There are some banks that obviously go as low as like 600, 620, but then you end up paying higher interest rate. But we currently, as we talk, I'm working on 4 different cases for 4 different investors. And the rate as we talk is somewhere in the neighborhood of 6.9, 6.85, all the way to like high 7, like more towards like 8% on a DSCR loan. Good thing is he doesn't need to disclose no income, no tax return, nothing. The only thing is he has to have 20% to put down, decent credit, and the property rent comparable, meaning the same exact property in the same neighborhood, ongoing rent should cover the amount of mortgage. That's it. And that's our job as mortgage professional to take care of that. Now that we found the property, and this guy is like in California or in New York or some other state, or maybe even local. I have a lot of people that are local and they have 5, 6, 10 properties, and they just know better to not manage them themselves. They give it to us. We do anywhere from 8 to 10% for the property management fee, and property management side of our basically the property management side of our real estate company would handle all that for them, including market the property for prospect tenant, find the prospect tenant, run their background, credit and criminal history, rental history, verifying everything, making sure there is no discrimination, running everybody. Okay, well, there's a part that I barely touched, and now I just remember I'm going to go back to it. There's 2 ways of running applications. When it comes to property management, there's 2 ways of running application. Either we're going to do first come, first serve, which I almost touched on earlier, which means if we have 10 applications, we go from the very first one that we receive, we run them. We run their background, we run their credit, we run their rental history, we run their criminal background and everything. If that applicant is exactly what we're looking for, that's it. It's over. Game is over. We found who we like. We found the ideal tenant, and that's it. We don't need to run everybody else's application. Okay. And then there are other style of running the business, or the landlord would basically pick when we're having the property management agreement with the landlord, that which style you want to go. You want to do first come first serve, or you want to run every single applications and pick the best one out of all applicant. Which in this case, if the landlord wants to rent a property quickly, they usually choose first come first serve. So we run the first one. If they're the good one, good. If not, we go to the second one. If the second one is the exact ideal tenant that we're looking for, it's over. We're going to give it to them. We don't even need to run everybody else's credit. We're just going to let them know that, hey, sorry, we found the ideal tenant, and we pretty much done. But with the other style, we need to wait until, like, let's say a whole month, or let's say 15 days. We get all the applications, 5, 10, however many applicants we have. We're going to run everybody's applications need, like we're going to run everybody's applications need, like as I mentioned earlier, rental history, income. We got to verify their income and make sure it fits the need, whether if it's 2.5% of the rent or 3% of the rent. I mean, 3 times more than the rent, and on a verifiable source, their criminal history and all that. And then we pick the best one out of all the applications. Either way, that's how it goes down. Now that we have the tenant, we have duty to both. As a property manager, we have a duty to the homeowner, aka landlord. We have a duty to our tenant, making sure everything's done right. If there's a broken appliances, we need to act fast. If something is wrong with the property, it outlined in a lease agreement. We have, as a property manager, this many days or this many hours to respond to you, and we have to deliver that. So everybody's happy. With that being said, I think I covered enough. What I really want to know is in a comment section, whether you're watching on TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram, I really want to know, like, after you knowing about all of that, do you really want to manage your property? And if yes, I want to know why. If no, I want to know why too. It would be great to read those comments out there. But if the second question would be, what else you want to know about property management? I really want to answer all your questions, as we really want to go more in depth in property management wing of our real estate company. I'm going to disclose the name and everything later on a future episode. We're opening up that sector of our business to public. So far it was like more of a private, nobody really, it wasn't advertised previously, but now we're starting to advertise it more and more. Good thing is we have a very good group of handymans, licensed contractors, and everyone we need in place if we are renting a property for a landlord as their property manager. Even if it's on the weekend, we can take care of something really quick with the proper notice. Other than that, I hope it was informative. If you guys have more questions about DSCR loan and how to buy property without showing your income or tax return, please reach out. Our information will be in our website. We have 2 websites. If you want to buy a property, go to yourdreamhomeispossible.com. On an edited version in our YouTube channel, we're going to put it on the screen. Yourdreamhomeispossible.com. If you want to sell your home for top dollar, we have a website for that too. Sell my home for top dollar. That simple. You go there, all our information is there. Again, the website is sellmyhomefortopdollar.org. Sellmyhomefortopdollar.org. fill out the small little form online and reach out, and we would love to help you. Good thing is, thanks God, so far, knock on the wood, we have nothing but 5-star reviews from our own previous clients. We are very, very thankful of every single one of you guys. If it wasn't because of you guys, our company wouldn't probably exist and grow. Obviously, I started as an insurance agent and real estate agent. Now we grow a lot, and I'm very thankful of, first of all, Almighty Lord to help us do all we do, and obviously bless us for our expansions. But again, it comes with a lot of responsibilities and a lot of work to do, and having client satisfaction guaranteed and getting every single one of those testimonials and real 5-star reviews is not easy, believe me. But not to be proud, we managed to do that, and it was all because of you guys. It's a two-way street. If you're a good client, listening to our advices and trusting us and understanding that we do this for a living, it's like, I was just making this example, matter of fact, a couple hours ago, to a very new client that reached out from California, found me on Google, and mainly because of our good reviews, he decided to call me. He said, "You're number one in Google, and you have not even one bad review. Like, this is impressive." And that's how I got that client. So long story short, we were just explaining for him that, imagine if you want to, because he was asking me about tax. Like, if I have a property that I want you to sell and buy another 2 property with you, am I going to pay tax, and how I'm going to pay tax? I'm like, hold on. I'm talking to you as your real estate agent and your mortgage guy, and I'd rather you take advice from your CPA on that, okay? And obviously, if the conversation was me acting as his tax expert, which we offered that as well, that would be a whole different story. But at that point, the hat that I weared in that conversation was real estate and mortgage broker. So I'm like, okay, all I can tell you is, based on the federal law, if you're married, it's this much. If you're single, it's this much. But for further more information, you have to talk to your tax guy, because I don't know about your tax. You don't do your tax with us, right? So long story short, I made an example. I said, look, it is just like you go to your tax guy and ask about real estate. He might give you, oh, I heard this from this other client, or I heard this from my cousin or relative or my neighbor, or someone in internet said this, but he cannot give you the definite answer, because that's not what they do for a living. They do tax. That's it. If I go to a dentist and I try to ask question about my heart, they're like, I'm your dentist. I don't know. Go to heart surgeon or heart doctor. And they can probably give you the better information. Same thing when it comes to this profession. This is a very in-depth and very fast-moving industry. Real estate, mortgage, insurance, all 3 of them. If you're not involved in it heavily, you don't know what you're talking about. And here and there, and sometimes a lot of time, I get clients that in the beginning, because they don't know me much and they don't obviously trust me as much, until they understand that my first priority is being super transparent with everyone and tell you everything the way it is. And sometimes people like it, sometimes they don't, which is okay with me, as long as I think I did my fiduciary duty to you as my client, and I'm telling you everything the way it is, transparently, and I have nothing to hide from you, and you hear what you have to hear, not what you want to hear from me. That's a big difference. Then I sleep better. Long story short, that's what we do. So we have to know what's going on in the market. If not, shame on us, right? And my sole intention of all our informative content is to inform the public, our future client, or maybe in some cases our past client or existing active clients, that whether they want to buy or sell with us, with all these contents. Hopefully it's helpful. If you guys have more questions, please reach out. We would love to be your source to these three industries, mainly mortgage, real estate, and insurance. Our tax division is still under contract. We're working on a lot of things, but we're advertising it already that it's coming soon, basically. Once it's fully up and running and done, like it's open to public, basically, then we're gonna do a full session on that and grand opening and all that. But currently, what is 100% active is our mortgage, real estate, and insurance. Other than that, thank you guys for following. Thank you guys for sharing. If you think it's informative enough or valuable enough, please share it with friends, family, whoever you love that you think this would be valuable to them. And don't forget, like, share, and thank you for following. It's free, believe me. It's free to follow. It's free to give some love. And that will give me more energy to deliver more informative content just like this in future episodes. Other than that, Modern Choice Financial Podcasts, please follow it in whatever audio podcast that you're following. Or if you want to watch the actual video of it, you can go to YouTube, just type Modern Choice Financial Podcast. Or if you go to the actual YouTube channel under Realtor Mehrooz, it's in our playlist. Matter of fact, all our social medias are under Realtor Mehrooz. Mehrooz. We're going to put it on the screen on the edited version. Other than that, thank you very, very much for spending this valuable time with me, and hopefully it was informative enough. Other than that, thank you very, very much. See you guys in the next episode. All right. We are good. I'm going to end the live and then answering the comments right after that. All right, let's just stop.